Hello, welcome to Beau, Hannam guitars and ukuleles. So this is a set of Amazon rosewood that I'm going to build an O-shaped guitar with. And this is the template. So normally I would have just joined it like that. However, my customer doesn't like sapwood and he doesn't like funny grain, i.e. grain that isn't, nice and straight like it is here. These little things don't matter so much, but it's more how it gets wide here. And by wide I mean slabby and all up here. So when I bought this from Gilmer, it was advertised as a 3-piece back. So we have this piece. So what I'm going to do is cut out the sapwood and add this to about there, so it's going to look absolutely invisible, and that will give me a nice amount right in the middle, so I can cut out most of this middle section, or sorry, the slabby section. The other thing I have to consider is how far or how wide to cut this. And I'm not going to do a wedge like a triangle in the middle, like a 35 style, like a Martin D35. So it's going to be something like this. And I'll probably cut this centerpiece along this darker area, which will butt up against this darker area, so it will look very similar to that join. And another element which is going to trick the eye is my customer wants a zipper strip, which is going to be really helpful actually, because it will, like, just looking at that in the shot just here, that looks like a 2-piece back, and then this will trick the eye and even further, and that is going to be, it's going to go from this slabby kind of not so great set to a really perfect set. And I'll probably put the lower bout down this end because it's I'm not sure, I'll decide after I finalize, but yeah, that's just I thought that would be a good thing to show you all. Don't get stuck into just that would be a better option if the wood was nice from all the way across. That would be the obvious choice for most people. That's going to be the outside, because you can see this knot here is far more defined on this side than this side. It pretty much looks, well, it's a lot more flawless. There's a few little things, but that just doesn't matter. None of these things contribute to any tonal anything, unless there's like a zillion of them and they're open and you've got to fill them and all that sort of thing. Sapwood doesn't affect tone. It's just an aesthetic thing. Some woods, the sapwood of some woods can't be used because it's just crumbly and crap. Brazilian, Amazon, Co-op, Tasmanian Blackwood, Cocobolo, Zero Cody, all that sapwood is fine to use. And other woods, I'm just knocking out a couple off the top of my head. So what I'll do now is get a straight edge. And I got a white pencil for your pleasure. I was trying to use a lead pencil last time and I couldn't see a thing. So to get this, I'm just cutting out, it's just a tiny bit of sapwood still here. So I'll just move that over. And then to really get an eye on this, if you get down low, you can see much better if the ruler is along the grain or not. And it's not going to be absolutely perfect because this grain isn't absolutely straight, but close enough. So you just have to get the best of, average out what is going to look good. That looks really nice to me. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just show you. Instead of marking the other side, I'm just going to masking tape those together and then cut. Good mic for $13. So you just want to check that this is butting up against each other. Well, not butting up, but they're, on the same plane. I guess you could just do that. And then I usually just put one in the middle. So, when you're doing this, I always just assume that I'm dumb and I've done something wrong, and I just double check that I've got the book match. It's pretty obvious on this because the sapwood is thicker on this end, thinner on that end. It's very visually obvious, but just think about if this didn't have sapwood and both bits look like this, you could, on a Friday afternoon do that and join it or cut it, and the book match would be wrong. So just pay attention. Always pay attention to what you're doing. I'll probably save this sapwood. I definitely will save this sapwood, but I might use it for something, I'm not sure, like an inlay, or if I wanted to get really tricky I could inlay the sapwood into a set that doesn't have sapwood, but that's a bit much. I'd rather just buy a set with a sapwood. I won't bother showing you me cutting it, but I'll be back in a second. Okay, all done, all cut. And just on the right hand side of the line, sorry, on the left hand side of the line. So I didn't actually lose much at all, just a little bit either end. So we'll just undo this and see where we are with this third piece. So what I might do is, there's just a bit of a few gaps here. I will just roughly joint these two edges, and then we'll just have a little bit better idea of where we are. So I just quickly taped it back up, and I'm just going to use my number 7 plane, aka Fat Boy or Long Man, whatever you want to call it, and just roughly join this up. I'm not trying to get a nice, like, gluable surface just yet. Wide here and here, and just there. That took us slightly longer than I thought, but now I can just move on to figuring out what to do with this, how wide to cut it. Okay, jointed roughly, more just edges were straightened. Now we have to figure out what, where we're going to put what, and how much we need. So at the moment, this is big enough to use without the sapwood, but it would have this, which, you know, the grain is pretty big compared to what you would normally see. This is fine to use. That's not unstable. But when we add this, it's just going to all look a lot nicer. And you can see the shape just fits, that's fine. Sometimes if I have joined up, you know, a back or top like this, and the template's overhanging like, you know, a couple of mil, maybe even 1/8 of an inch, I still use it because with the binding and purfling it doesn't matter. And this is actually going to get herringbone, so I could yeah, if it was a lot smaller I could still use it. Anyway, I might change the angle of this. Okay. So I'm just looking at this third piece. I'm wondering if I can straighten up the grain at all, but I'm not sure that I can. I'm just going to look down it like I did with the other pieces. So I can get it quite straight if I move it over to here, but here it sort of goes out a little bit and then kind of curves in like that, but only a little bit. That's wildly exaggerated. Well, we'll see what it looks like just butted up against it. You can see this dark line here and here. That's about the tonal color of this edge, like from here to there. Sorry, here to there. So that, doing something like that would be good, but then it leaves this side I think this is better off just butted up against here. And so that leaves me with where to join this edge. I think somewhere around here, probably there is the best spot. And so there's a bit of shadowing against this edge, which is probably throwing the look of it off, but just looking at it in person, it looks pretty good. And then when you add that, it's going to look very good. Yeah, so this I can't get rid of that shadow. Doesn't matter. So this now will be gained over an inch, about 1.25 inches. So this will be kind of here. And if I show you that, it's still a little bit, but this is going to come in with the well, the binding is probably about there. Yeah, so it'll come in about there, just with the binding and purfling. And if I just add a very light bit of colour to that, that's going to look good. What I'm tempted to do is, you see this dark line here, which I marked here. What I'm tempted to do is cut that back, to there, and then this would be a similar tone. So this tone and that tone are very similar. So that looks really good. That looks slightly less good to me. So what you have to consider now is you lose 1/4 inch here, so you go 1/4 inch over here. But then what I could do is use, so I had this about there last time, and if I chop this back to a slightly lighter area, I could move this out further. Food for thought. What do you think I'm going to do? It's just all about, see, wood is streaky, so this doesn't look unnatural. That's the thing. So it's a little bit, abrupt here, but, up there looks natural to me. It's a little bit abrupt there, but sort of there, especially there, looks absolutely perfect. When you consider, like, this part, that's 3 tones within 1/2 inch there, 1/4 inch. So you just have to make up your mind what looks best. Just play with it, and in my case, I can keep in mind that I can inlay this too. Or another thing I could do is to, if I was really picky, but I'm not going to be in this regard, if this was a little bit too narrow this way and the template was hanging out too much, if I wanted to gain another 1/4 of an inch, I could join this up however I do it and then chop it down the center and then inlay that, so it would be like that. At the moment I plan to join these 3 up and then route a channel in and inlay this instead of butting it up like that. That might change, I'm not certain yet, but you know, you just have to keep all these things in mind. But I'm not worried about, you know, I'm not in trouble in regard to width of the board, but it's just something to think about. I think I'll leave that there and play with this a little more. I don't have to do that on camera, but I will show you the results. Okay, so this is how I'm going to join it. That is just butting up against the 3rd shorter or smaller part bit. What I did before was I flipped this over. Sorry, what I did after I showed you before, I flipped this over and there's a darker streak along here, and that will match up really nicely with this edge here. So how I'm thinking about this is 1, 2, and 3. This is that's the real book match there. But now I'm going to add that, put that down the center, and that's going to yield very good results. So really I'm getting rid of this wood, which, you know, is not nice up there or there. Yeah, so that's going to work well. Hello, welcome back to Beau, Hannam Guitars. This video is shot a couple of months after all the other ones. This is just a bit of shellac, but this is the completed back, so I wanted to show you the other side. I would call that a perfect result. You can see the little pencil marks here and here. That's the join. So if I put my thumb there and look down, you can just make it out. And here, but I mean, even here, that just looks like any other, doesn't look any different to the other transitions. I'm not trying to be a smart ass, but I can't actually see it in person. Where is it? You can see it a tiny bit there. If I look really closely, see that dark to light? But if I pull back this much, it just doesn't look any different So unless you knew that this was a 3-piece back, you would say that it was a 2-piece back. And I don't do this to, to lie or to fool anyone, obviously, because I'm posting this video. But it's just 3-piece backs don't have to be that ugly wedge thing in the middle. They can look good, I suppose. But if you've got the right bit of wood and you do a bit of thinking, like I did, you can get a really nice result like this. It still comes out a little bit wide here, but this will come in to about probably there. So I'll lose about 1/4 of an inch on this end just to binding and purfling and stuff. So I'm not worried, and the customer is very happy with this result. And this is going to be a beautiful little cowboy guitar. The customer is a friend of mine, and he's an old horse guy, and he wanted a simple cowboy guitar, so herringbone O-shaped guitar. And this is moon spruce, Swiss alpine spruce. So yeah, I hope that was informative. Just me going through at length how I evaluate grain, color, pieces of wood. It just helps learning how to think about this sort of thing. So good luck with whatever you are up to. If you like these types of videos, please subscribe to me and to my channel, I mean. And if you want to get notified, you can hit the little bell thing, which apparently is next to the subscribe button. Yeah, perfect result. I'm really happy with that. Thank you. Bye.